Li Yuanyi never imagined that the moment he transmigrated, he would have only 3 days left to live. And standing beside him was a Fox Clan girl who could kill him at any moment. If he wanted to survive, he had to stop her from turning completely evil. So Li Yuanyi had no choice but to desperately try to please her. What made it worse was that there were 6 more villainesses just like her waiting for him. This was a world where money could buy slaves without restriction. In the original story, Li Yuanyi owned a Fox Clan girl, so beautiful she looked otherworldly, and yet he abused her every single day. What no one knew was that she carried noble Fox Clan blood, but because of childhood trauma, most of her power had been sealed away. A young Master Zhang from the tribe happened to set his sights on her. He offered money plus 3 top-tier witches in exchange, intending to take her back and discipline her properly. But Li Yuanyi refused. "Even if you give me 10 witches, I won't trade her." Enraged, young Master Zhang killed Li Yuanyi with a single vicious strike. Poor Xiufu was then falsely accused of losing control to her demonic nature. The Zhang family declared they would refine her and rid the world of a menace. In the end, Xiufu failed to escape and was tied up in the town square. The onlookers began groping her without restraint. Li Yuanyi had fallen asleep while reading this novel. When he opened his eyes, he had transmigrated into Li Yuanyi's body. It was the very novel he hadn't finished yet. The villainess really loves me. With no time to think, Li Yuanyi rushed out of the room. He saw Xiufu being dragged up by her hair. The crowd pointed at her and whispered mockingly. A man suddenly shoved a wooden stick into Li Yuanyi's hand. "Bro, we caught your runaway slave. She's yours to deal with now." Suddenly, a streak of golden light flashed across the sky. A small spherical robot materialized out of thin air, introducing itself as Li Yuanyi's system, Doubting. Li Yuanyi's mission in this world was to reform 7 villainesses. If any of them hit a full 5-star corruption level, Li Yuanyi would die on spot. And right now, Xiufu's corruption meter was skyrocketing. Seeing Li Yuanyi freeze up, the man beside him spat in disgust. He casually hurled an egg straight at Xiufu's head. Li Yuanyi lunged forward and shielded her. "That's enough. Let's see who dares lay a finger on her." A Snake Clan woman in the crowd stared in surprise. Li Yuanyi was actually protecting Xiufu, but Doubting urgently warned him. The corruption level was still rising. Li Yuanyi instantly realized he'd misplayed it. In Xiufu's eyes, he was her worst enemy. A sudden act of kindness would only make her suspect he had ulterior motives. He immediately darkened his expression. "She's my woman. Since when do you get to interfere?" The crowd burst into laughter and dispersed. So the kids, just jealous, thought he'd suddenly grown a conscience. Li Yuanyi kept up the act. "From now on, stay the hell away. Anyone who touches her loses a hand." Xiufu stared at his back with hatred burning in her eyes, gripping a sharp stone so tightly her palm bled. When Li Yuanyi turned around, she trembled all over. After a few seconds of silence, she cautiously opened one eye. Li Yuanyi snorted. "Get your ass home." Doubting chimed in. The corruption level had stopped rising. When Xiufu didn't move, he barked again. "If your legs aren't broken, get up. Or do you think I've got all day?" She hesitated for a moment, then chose to follow him home. Not far away, the Snake Clan woman sneered. "Interesting." On the way back, Li Yuanyi kept up the harsh act. "Keep up. Walk any slower and I'll break your legs." But covered in wounds, she ran out of strength and collapsed right in front of him. Li Yuanyi thought to himself, "Then let me be the one who saves you, little fox demon." As soon as they got home, Li Yuanyi demanded a beginner's gift pack from Doubting. Only 10 points, he could buy things in the system store, but anything high tier was out of reach. With no better option, Li Yuanyi spent 2 points on a set of women's clothes. Xiufu didn't wake up until 3 days later. Li Yuanyi brought over a freshly brewed bowl of medicine and ordered her to drink it. She stared at him in terror, and her corruption level ticked up again. Doubting explained that she thought the medicine was poisoned. Li Yuanyi had no choice but to stay in character. "You won't die in this house. Drink it, or I'll drag you outside." She quickly took the bowl. After finishing it, she glared at him. "What's your next trick?" But inside, she was thinking that he had been knocked out because of her. There was no way he'd let her off. Maybe it would be better to end it herself. Sensing her suicidal intent, Li Yuanyi tossed the new clothes onto her head. "Don't start getting ideas. If you die, I'll whip your corpse." He then set a tray of food down. "New clothes. A meal that you'd better be grateful." A green snake coiled silently on the roof beam, watching. So he was still just as vicious as before. And oh, change at all. The snake slipped out of the room and transformed into the Snake Clan woman. Strange. The other day, he had seemed like a different person. Still, as long as he kept abusing Xiufu, she'd have her chance. As she pondered, 2 women called out behind her. "Jenny, let's go pick wild fruit." Jenny turned around with a smile. Sure. Inside the house, Li Yuani mocked Xiufu. With your status, you think you deserve this food? The dogs I raised as a kid ate better. Look at the state of you. Put the new clothes on to don't embarrass me. And finish every bite and every drop. Nothing left. But her corruption level still went up by 1 point. Li Yuani cursed inwardly. Being cruel doesn't work either. What is she, impossible to please? Doubting said he wasn't convincing enough. She still suspected the food was tampered with. Li Yuani casually grabbed a chicken drumstick from the bowl. Almost forgot this was in here. You don't deserve it. Tastes fine. Shame I lose my appetite looking at you. He slammed the door and walked out. Once he was gone, Xiufu finally lowered her guard. She grabbed the food and devoured it like someone who hadn't eaten properly in ages. As she ate, tears streamed down her face. Doubting pulled up the live feed for Li Yuani. The corruption level had finally started dropping. He couldn't help but curse. Such a beautiful little fox demon. And the original owner treated her like that. Absolute scum. He glanced at his reflection in the water vat and realized he looked like an absolute mess. The original host hadn't bathed in months. Grimacing, Li Yuani spent 1 point on a full set of bath supplies. He used another point to buy a medical kit to treat Xiufu's wounds. Li Yuani stopped outside the door, figuring she had probably finished dinner, then kicked it open without warning. Xiufu flinched, her chopsticks freezing midair. The sight twisted something in his chest. He'd forgotten she was injured and would eat slower. But he kept a cold face and sat down to keep eating. Even the dogs I raised wouldn't dare waste food. You remember what happens if they do, right? Her eyes widened. She hugged the bowl and shoveled food into her mouth faster. Xiufu saw Li Yuani rummaging in his pocket and assumed he had another way to torment her. She suddenly winced in pain, tears welling in her eyes. She thought he was poisoning her again, still the same rotten Li Yuani. In truth, he was cleaning her wounds with an alcohol pad, but he said nothing, letting her believe he was hurting her. He sneered. Good. Pain means it's working. Keep eating, but don't stop. Hold out that injured hand. Every wound needs to sting. When she finished, he tossed out a curt line. Medicine's done. Then he walked out. Xiufu blinked in confusion. Wasn't that supposed to be poison? She called after him. Wait. Where are you going? Isn't this your room? Li Yuani shut the door quickly. Looks like he'd be sleeping in the freezing woodshed tonight. But inside, he felt oddly warm. Once she noticed her wounds improving, the corruption level would definitely drop. Doubting reminded him of the point system. Villainesses had 2 tracks, corruption level and affection level. A 5-star corruption level meant total corruption. 5 stars in affection meant full conquest. Each star required 3,000 points. He only had 7 points left, but after everything he'd done, surely tomorrow he'd earn at least 100. The next day, he gained 0 points that he nearly lost it. That was when he smelled the sour stench from his clothes. He'd been so focused on her yesterday that he hadn't even bathed. An idea struck him. If Xiufu saw a clean, handsome version of him acting gentle, wouldn't her affection spike? So he grabbed his bath supply set and went to wash up. A while later, Xiufu saw the door open, and a clean, almost glowing handsome man walked in. She stared blankly. You are? He smirked. Handsome, right? Surprised? Once she realized it was Li Yuani, she instantly went on full alert. The corruption level began to fluctuate. Inside, he wailed. With this face, I'm at least half a peerless beauty. Why is her corruption level still rising? Then he reconsidered. If a gorgeous woman suddenly threw herself at him, he'd think she was after his kidneys. He snapped back into character. Why are you still wearing that trash? Don't like the clothes I gave you? Or are you trying to make the whole tribe laugh at the Li family? Xiufu stiffened, glancing at him nervously. He roared. What are you staring at? Change already. She quietly said it was time to cook. He grabbed her wrist. You're not cooking today. Stay inside and reflect. He shoved her back and stormed out. Xiufu peeked out from the doorway, watching Li Yuani walk away, then glanced back at the new clothes. Thinking about the past 2 days, she was completely confused. She had failed to save her master and even tried to escape. Why hadn't he killed her? Instead, he gave her brand new clothes. Her wounds were already improving. Was he actually concerned? Then a little devil version of herself sneered in her head. Are you stupid? Just because he didn't hit you today doesn't mean he cares. She slapped her own cheeks lightly. Right? People don't change overnight, that he must be planning something worse. Outside, Li Yuani was betting with doubting. Once she put on pretty clothes and got a little happier, wouldn't her affection level rise? Doubting regretfully informed him that Xiufu's corruption level had gone up by 0.03 instead. Li Yuani collapsed to the ground. Find someone else for this job, can you? Doubting patiently reminded him not to give up, otherwise they'd both die. Minutes later, he walked in carrying firewood. Seeing she hadn't changed, he threw it down in frustration. Go bathe and change. What, don't like my taste? No. She crouched to pick up the firewood. Don't touch that, he snapped. If your wounds split open, I'll have to spend more money on medicine. She asked softly, then what should I do? Clean up and take a bath that I want you spotless. She nodded, bitterly thinking he hadn't changed at all. She was foolish to expect he had. 5 minutes later, he had already drawn her bath and urged her to wash up quickly. When she backed away, he mocked her on purpose. Don't flatter yourself thinking I want to look at you. Other people's maids are better than you in every way. Once he left, she finally relaxed. Sitting in the wooden tub, she frowned with worry that he told her to bathe. Was he planning something again? Outside, Li Yuanyi complained to Doubting that if one Xiufu was this hard to handle, what about the other 6? Wasn't this supposed to be an Isekai'd power fantasy? Why had it turned into a simp simulator? Doubting assured him that once he conquered all 7 Villainesses, he'd command the strongest 7 warriors in the world. Wasn't that glorious enough? Li Yuanyi gave a thumbs up. Fair enough. An hour later, Xiufu stepped out, freshly bathed and dressed in the new clothes. She looked so stunning it was hard to look away. He kept a straight face. Not bad, passable. Inside, he was already planning how to coax her to farm more points for even prettier outfits. She, however, doubted herself. Even this wasn't good enough for him. He yawned. I'm turning in. After you're done, come in and guard me while I sleep. Protect me. He pinched her cheek as a warning. If I find you gone in the middle of the night, I won't let you off. Before entering, he added, stop all chores now, that if your wounds worsen, I have to spend money on a doctor. Watching the door close, her doubts were finally resolved. He only pretended to care because he was afraid of wasting money. But that was fine. She sat on the floor, crying quietly. Her escape had failed, but at least she was alive. Maybe her days wouldn't be so unbearable after all. From the crack in the door, Li Yuanyi watched this unfold. Doubting congratulated him. The corruption level had dropped significantly. He and Doubting hugged excitedly. At this pace, they'd max out her affection level in no time. Li Yuanyi smiled warmly at her silhouette. Little fool that he wasn't the same Li Yuanyi who bullied her any more. One day, she'd realize he genuinely cared about her. Just as he closed his eyes to sleep, he suddenly heard a sound of breathing. Opening his eyes, he saw Xiufu sitting beside the bed. What are you doing? He asked hastily. She looked bewildered. Didn't you tell me to protect you? Li Yuanyi shrank back toward the headboard. Getting bold, aren't we? Look at yourself. All skin and bones. She murmured, but your attitude lately. His expression hardened into a glare. He shoved her down. This bed is too soft. It's uncomfortable that I'll sleep on the floor tonight. She tried to say something else, only to realize he had already crashed and fallen asleep. Xiufu felt a rare sense of security and soon drifted off to sleep. But the moment she did, the nightmare returned, her childhood village burning under a sky of flames. In the chaos, her parents shielded her and forced her to run. She didn't make it far before someone struck her from behind. She collapsed, gravely wounded. When she woke up again, she was inside a cage, nothing more than a slave to humans. The memories made her tremble even in her sleep. No matter how Li Yuanyi called her name, she didn't respond. Her corruption level was rising slowly. He guessed she was reliving her past, the girl with noble Fox Clan blood, sold into slavery as a child and humiliated for years. In the original novel, most of her power had been sealed because of that trauma. That was why she'd ended up so weak and easily bullied. Li Yuanyi gently wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes. Then he noticed the wound on her leg still hadn't fully healed. Without hesitation, he took out the medical kit and carefully applied healing ointment. This'll help it recover faster. She trembled from the sting, but kept her eyes shut, not making a sound. He kept applying the medicine. In reality, Xiufu had already woken up, vigilant in her heart. What is he doing to me? It hurts. He forces me to eat during the day, switches beds at night. Is this all to lower my guard so he can poison me? After he finished and went back to sleep, she finally exhaled. But she still opened her eyes. If you're going to kill me, just do it. Why drag this out? She pulled out the shard hidden in the cloth and aimed at his throat. Fine, then don't blame me. Suddenly, her wound started itching. She looked down. It had already begun to scab. She froze. Oh, it really was healing medicine. For the first time, her affection level increased. The next morning, Doubting jolted Li Yuanyi awake. This is bad. The original male lead, Shi Tianrui, has transmigrated here too. The news hit him like a thunderclap. Of all people, why that absurdly handsome, high EQ, halo-carrying protagonist? Doubting added urgently. His system is called Shuaiding. If he conquers the 7 Villainesses first, the main system will erase us. Li Yuanyi forced himself to calm down. and no need to panic that he'd gained over 30 points last night. That proved his strategy worked. If sure Tianrui wanted to approach Xiufu, he'd have to get through him first. He walked to Xiufu's bedside and saw her still sleeping. He gently brushed her hair. "Little fox demon, be good. Sleep well. Wait for me at home." He slipped out quietly. Xiufu, pretending to sleep, cracked an eye open, utterly confused. What kind of act is he putting on today? 10 minutes later, Li Yuani was out in the wild, humming to himself while plotting the next step. Maybe take Xiufu out and stage a classic damsel in distress scenario. He was grinning at the thought when the bushes behind him rustled. He spun around sharply. "I see you come out."
Hi.
3 women stepped out of the grass. The one in front, a Snake Clan woman, smiled. "Relax that we're from the same tribe. We heard wailing in the forest and thought something happened. Turns out it was you singing Your Li Yuani, right? Saw you at the plaza before." He waved awkwardly. Didn't think anyone was around. Just sang a bit. "Sorry if I scared you." The 2 girls beside her whispered, "Wasn't he supposed to be ugly and vicious? He actually looks pretty clean, kind of handsome." Li Yuani coughed proudly. "You can say it louder that I enjoy compliments." The Snake Clan woman chuckled. "You've changed a lot." He asked for their names. The leading woman handed him a honeydew. "I'm Xiaoyuan, that we just picked these that they're sweet." He pretended to hesitate, but his hand grabbed it instantly. Xiaoyuan added, "We picked plenty. You could take some home for your female slave." He immediately put on a dramatic face. "She's just a slave? Why would you get to taste this? She doesn't deserve it." As they were leaving, Xiaoyuan glanced back at him meaningfully. "See you, Li Yuani." He waved politely. Then he turned to Doubting. "Was there a beauty named Xiaoyuan in the original novel?" Doubting scanned and replied, "None among your 7 villainesses. Maybe your personal charm attracted a new character." He grinned. "I figured." Back home, he headed straight into the kitchen. He realized the fire starter was gone, so he spent 1 point in the system store to buy a lighter. He was just about to show these bumpkins some modern technology. At that moment, Xiufu pushed the door open. "I heard you were in the kitchen." He panicked and stepped on the lighter, then caught himself. "Wait, why do you care?" She said softly, "I'll cook." He grabbed a stick. "Do your thing that I'm practicing fire by friction like a real man." He rubbed for ages, no spark. Just as embarrassment crept in, Xiufu quietly crouched down. "Let me." A small flame flickered in her right hand, instantly igniting the stove wood. He stared. Was that magic? She lowered her head. "My power hasn't fully returned, but lighting a small fire is still possible." Li Yuani knew this was a fantasy world, but seeing magic with his own eyes was still thrilling. He got excited and tugged at Xiufu's skirt. "Do you need hand signs and chants for that?" Xiufu replied calmly. "Just focus your power and guide it with your will." Li Yuani was even more surprised. "So you've always lit fires like that? Don't your fingers get burned?" She felt slightly uneasy under his questioning and said softly, "It doesn't hurt." He kept going. "Is there a cost? Can I learn it? What about water, ice, lightning? Magic's basically eco-friendly. No one and nobody bothered with technology." Xiufu was overwhelmed by the barrage of questions. What is he even talking about? She wondered. Yet somehow, he seemed a little cute. A little devil in her mind smacked her head. "Have you lost it? Don't forget how he treated you all those years. This has to be an act." Her thoughts grew messy. But lately, he really was like a completely different person. Meanwhile, Li Yuani's attention had shifted because Doubting had just told him the system store could exchange skills. Unfortunately, he only had 46 points. The only thing available was danger prediction. Seeing 10 seconds into the future, IT didn't look very impressive. It could be upgraded, sure, but it was still too expensive. Xiufu kept sneaking glances at him while cooking. He actually looked pretty good now, and he smelled nice. She got distracted, and the water nearly boiled over. Seeing her expression shift from red to dark, Li Yuani panicked. Was her emotional fluctuation triggering corruption again? He quickly pulled out the melon Xiaoyuan gave him. "Look at this." She blinked. "Where did that melon come from?" Li Yuani said smugly, "Went out for firewood this morning, that a melon-picking girl from the tribe gave it to me. Said it's sweet." Xiufu's expression shifted. "A girl gave it to you?" He didn't notice her change in mood and said casually, "Of course, don't women love this stuff? I don't even like sweets that you're lucky." She pressed her lips and shut the pot lid firmly. "I don't want it." He flinched but forced a tough tone. "Since when do you get to refuse what I give you?" He set the melon down and told her to focus on cooking. Then he made an excuse about the kitchen smoke and slipped out. Once outside, he exhaled deeply and asked Doubting how things were. Doubting was a bit confused. Xiufu's emotions are fluctuating wildly, but it's not corruption. Li Yuani breathed a sigh of relief. As long as it's not corruption. In the kitchen, Xiufu glared at the melon on the table, cheeks puffed out. "Oh, when another girl gives you something, you just accept it." Huh. She didn't even realize she was jealous. Outside, Li Yuanyi stared at his system panel and grumbled, "Limited features and points are this hard-earned. How am I supposed to compete with a male lead like this?" Doubting hurried to reassure him. Once the 7 villainesses start appearing, the more villainesses you conquer, the more points will roll in. Li Yuanyi couldn't help fantasizing about farming points with 7 beauties at once. Absolute bliss. But then reality hit point when Xiufu was already exhausting. Could he even handle that kind of overwhelming fortune? That afternoon, the tribal plaza was packed. The elder announced winter assignments. Female slaves would harvest cotton, male slaves would hunt, and second-tier warriors would protect all witches. Li Yuanyi scanned the crowd for Xiufu. He spotted her instantly. She stood out too much to miss. He exaggeratedly winked at her. She puffed her cheeks and turned away, ignoring him. He scratched his head helplessly. Seriously? I just gave her a melon yesterday. How long do I have to keep playing the villain? 5 days passed in a flash. Yuanyi stormed in demanding answers. Other family slaves are back. Why is there not even a shadow of my Xiufu? You owe me an explanation today. Xiufu immediately summoned a guard. The guard stammered, "It's not my fault. She's withdrawn, got isolated, so she was picking cotton alone in a corner. Later, we heard she was taken by the Dark Clan." Li Yuanyi grabbed his collar. "You're telling me this now? This is how you protect female slaves?" The guard shot back. "I just supervised them if she wandered off alone. That's on her. Slaves aren't nobles. If one dies, you just buy another." Furious, Li Yuanyi threw a punch. "You useless trash." The guard blocked it. Xiufu rushed in to break them apart while the crowd whispered. Of course he's mad that he's too poor to afford another witch. Now he'll have to do everything himself. Li Yuanyi broke free. He shouted at everyone, "Xiufu was kidnapped, not killed. I will bring her back." Laughter erupted from the crowd. All that passion for just one witch? Li Yuanyi returned home and started searching for a weapon he could actually use. Doubting reminded him, "Your arrival didn't change the plot point of Xiufu being captured. But if we move before Tianrui does, we can seize the initiative." Meanwhile, outside the city gates, Tianrui received a notification from his system. Another system has been detected in this world. Target currently unidentifiable. Tianrui narrowed his eyes. Xiufu's useless master was supposed to die days ago, yet he's still alive. Tell me, Shuai Ding, do you think that trash flattered her into letting her guard down against him? The system calmly replied, "Minor deviations are normal that a cannon fodder side character poses no threat. The overall storyline revolve around you." Tianrui smirked disdainfully. "You think I fear cannon fodder? Once I rescue Xiufu, take her to roam the world, and keep her away from that former master who only bullied her, she'll be so grateful she'll obediently turn into my docile little lamb." At that exact moment, Li Yuanyi, packing his things, suddenly sneezed. "Who's cursing me behind my back?" In a dark cavern somewhere else, Xiufu was chained inside a prison cell. 3 women from the Dark Clan approached her slowly. The Dark Clan was a race cursed by the gods, abandoned by light itself. Rejected by all tribes, they wandered eternally in sunless darkness. One of them rubbed her stomach, staring greedily at Xiufu. "Boss, I can't take it anymore that I'm craving it. Let me carve off a slice of meat and see how she tastes." She was about to move when a purple-haired woman snatched the knife away. "I know you're hungry, but control yourself. Look how beautiful this girl is." The purple-haired woman tapped Xiufu's cheek lightly with the back of the blade. Such tender skin. Slashing it carelessly would be a waste. She leaned closer and inhaled deeply. "It's been years since I've smelled meat this clean. When I was young, I used to be just as beautiful as her." The purple-haired woman threw her head back and laughed aloud. The next second, a ball of flames ignited in Xiufu's eyes. Meanwhile, Li Yuanyi arrived at the tribe's gate. Xiufu blocked him. The Dark Clan frequently lurks outside the city. Going out alone at night, without even a warrior, is seeking death. You never even liked Xiufu. Why risk your life for her? Li Yuanyi came up with the most ridiculous excuse he could. "Xiufu is my female slave, that if the Dark Clan defile her, where does that leave my dignity?" Xiufu was furious and heartbroken. "Your father and I were close friends. That's why I'm trying to make you turn back. I never thought you'd be someone who values his face over his own life. How about this? Pick any good female slave from my household instead." Li Yuanyi dug at his ear, completely unbothered. "My slave, my call." To be fair, Elder Su wasn't a bad man. Surprising that even someone like the original owner had people who cared whether he lived or died. But just a short distance outside the tribe, Li Yuanyi felt a sudden chill crawl down his spine. He spun around fiercely. Nothing. Doubting warned, "Do you want to cash in the danger prediction skill? This situation already triggers the life-saving conditions." Li Yuanyi felt a bit reluctant and was just about to haggle with the system. when a red-black shadow suddenly flashed before his eyes. The next second, he vanished on the spot. When he opened his eyes again, he was already inside a dim cavern. The system doubting, however, sounded excited. Congratulations on hitting the jackpot that you've been captured by the second villainess, the Darkland Queen, and she's heading this way right now. Before Li Yuanyi even had time to find a hole to hide in, he was tackled to the ground by the other party. The woman before him had an aura of cold elegance, her brows and eyes exuding an undeniable, oppressive presence. She was a standard, dominant older sister type, completely hitting his aesthetic sweet spot. Her icy fingertips lightly brushed across his cheek. Li Yuanyi spoke nervously, "Even though you're very beautiful, but..." She immediately cut him off. "Perfect timing that you're awake, that let's make some babies." Li Yuanyi almost thought he'd misheard and instinctively shrank back in fright. This kind of thing requires the right timing, the right place, and the right people. How about we cultivate some feelings first? Internally, he was panicking frantically. He came here to save Xiufu. If she suddenly showed up and her corruption completely exploded, wouldn't he drop dead on the spot? However, the Dark Queen's corruption level was actually rising. Li Yuanyi felt a headache coming on. Fantastic, piling on the pressure again. In his desperation, an idea sparked. "Do you have any siblings at home? Have you ever thought about why you're the only one?" The Dark Queen indeed froze. "That's true. Why am I the only one?" Li Yuanyi smiled. "So you see, this kind of thing depends most on the right timing, the right place, and the right people. You can't miss a single one." Internally, he rejoiced, finally dodging a bullet. Certain things had to at least wait until the 7 villainesses accepted each other before talking about it. The Dark Queen leaned closer, staring at him. "Then you explain it to me. What exactly is the right timing, the right place, and the right people?" For a moment, Li Yuanyi genuinely had no idea where to start fabricating. He could only probe her. "Your parents, were they deeply in love?" "Of course." Her expression was complex. "My mother and father were the most loving couple in the whole world. Otherwise, given their identities, it would have been absolutely impossible for them to be together." Li Yuanyi's eyes lit up. "Exactly. Only 2 people deeply in love can make that happen that we just met for the first time. Shouldn't we build some emotional foundation first? With feelings, you'll be full of vigor. Without them, you'll just go limp." As he spoke, Deng Qingshuang actually pulled out a small notebook and seriously started taking notes. After finishing her notes, she looked at him with pure admiration. "I knew I didn't misjudge you. You understand so much." But the Dark Queen was simply far too proactive. She suddenly confessed with absolute sincerity, "I like you. I fell for you the last time I saw you protecting that female slave." Li Yuanyi's heart sank heavily. So she had already seen Xiufu. She smiled and made a playful gesture. "It doesn't matter if you like me a little less, that I'll just like you twice as much, and it balances out, doesn't it?" Just as she finished speaking, with a wave of her hand, several red-black shadows instantly coiled around Li Yuanyi's limbs, but he completely panicked. "What are you trying to do?" She smiled, bright and dangerous. Li Yuanyi never expected that the Dark Queen had another motive for capturing him, and that she was exactly the second villainess he needed to conquer. The dark energy tightly bound his limbs, and he shouted anxiously, "This isn't right. Pull the dark energy back first." She merely chuckled. "Don't worry, I won't let you get hurt." Li Yuanyi felt a wave of daze. How is this a villainess? She didn't even need him to conquer her at all. Doubting urgently warned, "With Deng Qingshuang's personality, you will absolutely be locked up for a very long time. When that happens, how will you save Xiufu? How will you conquer the other villainesses? If the mission fails, we both die." Li Yuanyi immediately forced himself to calm down. Deng Qingshuang paused and asked with concern, "Are you feeling unwell somewhere?" Li Yuanyi looked like he had lost all will to live. Right? He suddenly remembered a setting from the original novel. The Dark Clan could drain the physical stamina of their targets. If the target hadn't eaten enough, it was highly likely they would die. Since she liked him this much, she definitely couldn't bear to let him die. He spoke weakly. "I'm so hungry. I want to eat right now." Deng Qingshuang's face filled with guilt. "I captured you and actually forgot to give you food. That I'm sorry. I almost killed you." Internally, Li Yuanyi was ecstatic, and Doubting also praised him for a job well done. Deng Qingshuang stood up immediately. "I'll go hunt for you." She transformed into a streak of crimson shadow and flew out of the cave. Li Yuanyi seized this perfect opportunity, preparing to slip away. Doubting, however, poured cold water on him. If Deng Qingshuang comes back and finds you've escaped, her corruption level will definitely spike straight to 5 stars. Li Yuanyi was completely dumbfounded. Fleeing meant death. Not fleeing also meant death. His only option was to have Doubting search through Deng Qingshuang's past in the original novel to find a leverage point. Meanwhile, Deng Qingshuang had already locked onto a fierce tiger in the wild. When the beast's claws slashed toward her, she didn't flinch. She casually snapped a branch from a nearby tree. Her long hair rose with the wind as she said calmly, "No time to play, let's end this quickly." Shortly after, she returned to the cave, dragging her prey. "I'm back. Brought you a big fat tiger. Oh, you want the leg or the back?" Her words cut off abruptly as she suddenly froze in place. The cave was emptied. Liune had already slipped out to a nearby river to fish. What he didn't expect was spotting 3 dark clan women whispering in the bushes. When he reeled in a 3-pound carp, Doubting translated their conversation. They were planning to capture him and roast him. "That's seriously messed up," he muttered, a chill running down his spine. He pretended to talk to himself. "One fish isn't enough, better catch another." Then he grabbed the fish and bolted. The 3 women reacted instantly, chasing him down. As he ran, he wailed, "This world is insane. If I don't grind more points for survival skills soon, I'm dead for sure." Doubting panicked. "They're getting closer. I refuse to die in this dark clan jungle." His foot suddenly caught on a branch, and he pitched forward. He was seconds away from becoming lunch, when a blade flashed. He broke into a cold sweat. "Doubting, do I still have my lower half?" "Turn around," Doubting said. Behind him, the 3 dark clan women lay decapitated. Deng Qingshuang stood there, her expression dark. "You left the cave to meet them?" Doubting warned. Her emotions are unstable. Corruption spike in 3 seconds. With 1 second left, Liune lunged forward and wrapped his arms around her. She froze. The corruption level did not rise. "Good thing you saved me," he said quickly. "Look, I caught you a big fish." She asked with slight confusion. "For me?" He placed a string of fish in her hand. "I'm a grown man. I can't keep living off you that you're too thin. I should be the one taking care of you." Deng Qingshuang felt a warmth in her heart. "I'm sorry. I misunderstood you that I thought you ran away and didn't want me anymore." As she spoke, she wrapped her arms tightly around Liune. "You're the best man I've ever met in this world." Back in the cave, she processed the tiger carcass while speaking. "This time was my fault. Don't worry. I'm very strong. From now on, no matter what happens, I will protect you." Liune nodded with a grin on the surface, but inside he felt a lingering fear. If he had actually run away just now, the one chopped into pieces would probably be him right now. A few minutes later, she handed him a slab of bloody raw meat. Liune stared at the meat in a daze, yet didn't dare refuse to take it. She gazed at him gently. "Once you finish eating, it's time to get down to business." Liune smiled awkwardly. "I can't eat raw meat." Her expression darkened instantly, thinking he was disliking her and deliberately making excuses. Seeing that her corruption level was about to rise again, Liune hurriedly explained, "Eating raw meat will upset my stomach." Deng Qingshuang looked completely incredulous. "A Wolf Clan person actually doesn't eat raw meat?" Liune raised his hand and swore. "Times have changed. The tribe doesn't eat raw meat anymore. Once I cook the meat and finish eating, I'll obediently listen to you. First, help me chisel out the center of this stone, that I'll make something delicious for you." Deng Qingshuang agreed half suspiciously, picked up a sharp stone, and began chiseling at the large rock. Before long, a crude stone pot was chiseled out. Liune spent 1 point in the system store to exchange for a packet of spicy boiled meat seasoning. Deng Qingshuang stacked the firewood nicely, her small face still slightly puffed with anger. Liune cheerfully asked her to help clean and gut the fish. She muttered in her heart, "Exactly how much longer do I have to wait?" After cleaning the fish, she squatted nearby and asked eagerly, "Is it ready yet?" Liune placed the fish into the stone pot. "Wait just a few more minutes." He pulled out a lighter and ignited the firewood. Deng Qingshuang jerked back in shock, collapsing onto the ground. The Dark Clan feared fire by nature. The unaware Liune was still humming a song. Doubting anxiously urged him to turn around immediately. Only then did he see that Deng Qingshuang's face was deathly pale, her body trembling uncontrollably. She stared at him dead in the eye. "You doing all these little tricks? Was it just to light a fire and kill me?" The firewood burned brighter and brighter, and she instinctively shrank back. Liune probed cautiously. "You're afraid of fire?" Deng Qingshuang let out a cold laugh. "Not eating raw meat was just an excuse. You don't want to be with me. You made me do all that just to get a chance to kill me, didn't you?" Liune was utterly floored by her overactive imagination. He slowly walked toward her. Under her wary gaze, he gently took her icy hand. "I lit the fire to cook the meat. Once the cave's bright, I can see your beautiful face clearly, and fire makes your body warm." She stared at him, stunned, so he wasn't trying to kill her. He led her to the stone bed and had her sit. "Rest, I'll handle the rest." He picked up a wooden stick and carved 2 pairs of crude chopsticks. Soon, the spicy boiled fish was ready. He picked a tender piece from the belly and handed it to her. This part's the softest, no bones. She struggled awkwardly with the chopsticks, unable to lift the meat. He noticed immediately. Let me teach you. He gently held her hand. Use your thumb and index finger like this slowly. Try it. The fish finally reached her lips. Her eyes lit up. It's delicious. He smiled. If you like it, eat more that I can cook for you anytime. She devoured it eagerly. Doubting chimed in, affection level plus 0.5. Reward, 30 points. To conquer the strongest villainess, Villainesses wasn't just digging into her tragic past. He was using warmth to disarm her. But then the system delivered bad news. After returning to the tribe and finding him gone, Xiufu's corruption level had begun rising rapidly. It turned out that Deng Qingshuang eating the boiled fish had rewarded him with 30 points. Now with points to spare, he spent 45 points to unlock Danger Foresight and had Doubting synchronized Deng Qingshuang's background data. The moment he closed his eyes, he felt himself slipping into her memories. Deng Qingshuang was a half-blood, born of the Dark Clan and a human. Orphaned at a young age, she grew up drifting from place to place. Both humans and the Dark Clan rejected her. She nearly starved to death multiple times, which left her with an instinctive obsession with food. Her brutal childhood taught her how to survive, but no one ever taught her how to love. After witnessing the tragedy of her past, tears slid down Villainesses' face before he could stop them. She paused mid-bite. Why are you crying? He wiped his eyes and pulled her into his arms. Ching Ching, as long as I'm here, you'll never be alone again. Her body trembled slightly. She gave a soft hum in response. Doubting chimed in, affection level plus 16 points credited. Villainesses inwardly grinned. This wasn't so hard after all. But elsewhere, chaos erupted in the tribe square. Xiufu stood at the center of the crowd. Her gaze was icy. Why is my master who's missing? Did you deliberately harm him? People hurried to calm her. Xiufu, don't act rashly. Search parties have already been sent. Nearby, Shi Tianrui frowned. This isn't how the plot should unfold. I haven't even gone to rescue Xiufu yet. Why did she return first? How am I supposed to proceed next? Shuaiding was equally confused. Back inside the cave, Deng Qingshuang pinned Villainesses down again. You said after eating, you'd listen to me. He spoke gently. Do you remember why you were bullied as a child? Do you want our child to go through that same pain? She stiffened instantly. How do you know about my past? She demanded. He answered calmly. The Dark Clan cannot reproduce among themselves, and your traits don't fully match theirs, and I'm guessing you're the child of a Dark Clansman in another race. You understand better than anyone how cruel this world can be to someone like you. Deng Qingshuang slowly stood up. I need some time to clear my head. With that, she dissolved into a streak of black shadow and vanished from the cave. Villainesses let out a breath. For now, he had stabilized her. But Doubting was frantic. We've got a crisis back home. Xiufu's corruption level is skyrocketing, that if we don't stop it, we're finished. His scalp prickled. He was about to run back when Doubting cut in. You won't make it in time, I can activate coordinate teleportation. Cost 50 points. He nearly coughed blood from frustration, but bought it anyway. In the next instant, he appeared at the tribe's entrance that a crowd had gathered ahead. He pushed forward, shouting, I'm back. Move aside. Xiufu had been beating a tribal warrior, and could hear the sound of his voice. She spun around instantly. He forced a steady tone. Xiufu, that I'm safe. Nothing happened. She froze. How did you return? Doubting reported, Xiufu's corruption level is dropping. He blinked in surprise. He'd assumed she might wish him dead. But the moment he appeared, the corruption level fell. Elder Su trembled with anger. How did you raise your female slave? She dared strike a tribal warrior. Villainesses sneered. If he can't even defeat my female slave, does he even deserve the title of a warrior? And protecting one's master is natural for a slave. Xiufu did nothing wrong. He lightly tapped her nose. When I was taken by the Dark Clan, did your warriors come rescue me? Maybe you should disband them all. He naturally took Xiufu's hand and started walking her home. She stared at him, unable to believe what just happened. A faint blush colored her cheeks. Affection level rose again. Another 60 points credited. Not far away, Shi Tianrui demanded of Shuaiding. How is that cannon fodder Villainesses still alive? Did you sing me a pirated storyline? Shuaiding replied calmly. Relax, it's the official version. Shi Tianrui could only head outside the tribe. According to the original storyline, he planned to win over Deng Qingshuang next. After all, in the novel, all it took was wandering into the forest to encounter her. Up in a tree within the tribe, Xiaoyuan of the Snake Clan watched thoughtfully. There's something strange about Villainesses. She shifted back into human form. How did that weak, fallen young master escape from the Dark Clan alive? Xiufu watched Li Yuanyi's departing figure, anger blazing in her chest. She convinced herself he hadn't been captured at all. He'd simply stayed away on purpose. She swore she wouldn't care about him anymore. Or she'd write her name backward. Back home, Li Yuanyi stared at Xiufu without saying a word. Her cheeks flushed as she fidgeted nervously. He suddenly raised his hand. She jumped to her feet instantly. Why are you nervous again? You were fine just now. And nothing. I'll cook, she murmured softly. She hurried to the kitchen. The system interface showed her affection level slowly increasing. He smirked slightly. Was she starting to like him? Interesting. Time to adjust strategy. But doubting suddenly warned him. Deng Qingshuang had returned to the cave and found him gone. Her corruption level was spiking. He rubbed his forehead. According to Doubting, the original author had written it so early-stage Villainesses weren't allowed to meet each other. He wanted to punch someone, but there was no choice. He had to check in with Xiufu first. If she discovered he vanished again, her corruption level would explode. She was harder to manage than anyone. Meanwhile, back in the cave, chaos reigned. Deng Qingshuang was furious. So all those sweet words were just to find a chance to run away? You liar. You won't escape. Just then, she heard a familiar voice. Qingqing, what's wrong? She spun around sharply. Li Yuanyi was kneeling on one knee, holding something out with both hands. Look, I brought you a gift. Her anger dissolved instantly. It was all a misunderstanding. He hadn't run. She rushed forward with open arms and tackled him to the ground again. To prevent the villainess from spiraling further, Li Yuanyi managed not only to persuade Deng Qingshuang, but to calm her into temporary obedience. Yet she insisted on marking him, claiming that with it, she'd be able to find him anywhere. Meanwhile, back at home, the Fox Clan girl sensed the sealed power within her slowly awakening. When Deng Qingshuang had tackled him earlier, Doubting urgently warned him. He absolutely couldn't give in. If he did, how would he stop the other 6 villainesses from falling into corruption? The system panel popped up, frowny face, accept the villainous protagonist's request. He selected no without hesitation. He put on a serious face. Do you know how dangerous it is for the Dark Clan and the Wolf Clan to be together? She blinked. Really? Of course, he said solemnly. That's why I need to truly understand you first. She didn't fully grasp it, but that wasn't important. He asked if she was willing to trust him. She nodded repeatedly. Of course I trust you. He calculated inwardly. Drain her energy, stabilize the situation. He told her to relax. Then he lifted her in his arms and carried her toward the rug ahead. She nodded obediently as he gently set her down. Before long, she drifted off to sleep from exhaustion. Doubting announced. Corruption level significantly reduced. Affection level plus 0.5. Reward, 30 points. He exhaled and lay back on the ground to rest. Elsewhere, in the Wolf Clan household, Xiufu stared at her hands in a daze. Her strength had grown stronger. Maybe it had been triggered when she escaped the Dark Clan last time. Up in a nearby tree, Sion of the Snake Clan observed quietly. Her brows furrowed. Li Yuanyi hadn't left the tribe today. So how had he vanished out of thin air? Strange, but it's getting more interesting. Back in the cave, he prepared to light a fire for warmth. Deng Qingshuang stirred awake, mumbling drowsily, what's wrong? Li Yuanyi asked gently. You were exhausted earlier and fell asleep. Are you feeling better now? Deng Qingshuang happily threw herself into his arms. You didn't leave? He smiled. I wouldn't abandon you. You really won't go? He looked at her seriously. Not exactly. I still need to return to the tribe sometimes. Then why friend would worry? She shook her head immediately. No. He soothed her patiently. It's fine. You know where I live. I can't run. She hesitated. He raised 3 fingers and swore he wouldn't escape. After thinking for a moment, she insisted on placing a mark on him. Once marked, she could sense his location anytime. That way she could feel at ease. He blinked. How do you mark someone? Her gaze dropped to his neck. She leaned in and left a bite mark on his neck. Within moments, the mark faded from sight. The mark would allow her to track him at any time. If he faced mortal danger, she would sense it instantly. For Li Yuanyi, it was an extra layer of protection. He cautiously pointed toward the cave entrance. So can I go now? Her eyes curved with a soft smile. You can head back now, good boy. He waved goodbye and planned to walk farther away before teleporting back to the tribe, avoiding suspicion. Just as he ducked into a hidden patch of grass, he heard movement behind him. Sure, Tianrui, the true male lead, had arrived. He was complaining to his system about failing to find Deng Qingshuang and had nearly been captured by several Dark Clan women. Shuai Ding encouraged him not to give up, saying the storyline guaranteed he'd eventually run into her. Li Yuanyi immediately understood. Sure, Tianrui's plot trigger had been hijacked by him, that if he teleported back to the tribe now, and sure, Tianrui ended up bumping into Deng Qingshuang, it would be disastrous. The guy was handsome and backed by an official system. How could he compete? Besides, Deng Qingshuang had to take responsibility for him now. He quickly told Doubting to teleport him back to the cave. Deng Qingshuang lay sprawled across the stone bed, bored. When she heard footsteps, she sat up instantly and turned toward the cave entrance. Li Yuanyi gave an awkward wave. Qing, I just remembered something I forgot to say. But she rushed into his arms. Baby, you came back? Couldn't bear to leave me, huh? She wrapped her arms around his neck, that he nodded decisively. Yet I couldn't leave you. He made an excuse. He wanted to see her with a new dress he bought before leaving that in truth, he was determined not to let her step outside the cave today. She nodded obediently. Okay. A moment later, she emerged wearing the dress. Baby, does it look good? She stunned him. It looks amazing that it's a human-style design. Do you like it? She smiled shyly. As long as it was from him, she liked it. Doubting announced. Deng Qingshuang's corruption level significantly reduced. Affection level plus 0.5. Reward. 30 points. She wrapped her arms around him again. Now that I changed, you're leaving, aren't you? He answered softly. I'll wait until you fall asleep. Her eyes reddened. You're still going? Night fell. Elsewhere, sure, Tianrui lost patience. The Dark Clan will enter hibernation soon. I'll go target another villainess first. He activated the beginner's gift pack teleport function. In the next instant, he vanished from the dark forest. Back in the cave, Li Yuanyi leaned close. She was sound asleep that he whispered her name. No response. He quietly activated teleportation and disappeared from the cave. When his vision cleared, he stood before his tribal home. He scanned the area quickly. No one noticed. The lights were still on. Xiufu was awake. He pushed open the door. Xiufu, I'm back. But everything had been witnessed by Xiaoyuan of the Snake Clan, perched in a tree. She shifted into human form, brows furrowing. Strange. Li Yuanyi can use high-tier spells? Li Yuanyi teleported back to the tribe and gently pushed open the door. Xiufu was curled up on the floor in her fox form, sleeping quietly. At the sound of his footsteps, she woke instantly and shifted into her beast-eared human form. She looked at him excitedly. Master, you're finally back. He placed 2 fish on the table and frowned. Why are you sleeping on the floor? Inwardly, she assumed he had gone out fishing so late, but honestly, only 2 fish. That was weak. She started to stand, planning to bring out dinner. Wait, he stopped her. Answer my question first. She lowered her voice. I'm just used to sleeping on the floor. He immediately shot back. You clearly prefer a soft bed. Don't think I don't know. He reached out to pat her head, but she flinched slightly, thinking he might strike her. Promise me you'll sleep on the bed from now on. He gently touched her head again. Relaxed, I'm not going to eat you. Her cheeks turned pink. She muttered inwardly. He'd been acting stranger and stranger lately. Suddenly, he put on a fierce face. Fine, this young master will get the food himself, lest you poison it. With that, he turned and headed toward the kitchen. Xiufu froze for a second, then let out a quiet breath of relief. He hadn't changed, just wasn't as harsh anymore. As he carried the dishes, Doubting notified him. Xiufu's affection level plus 0.1. Reward, 5 points. He blinked in surprise. He truly couldn't read this girl's mind anymore. Doubting encouraged him. You're handling Xiufu with ease now. Once your points exceed 150, the system store will upgrade. His confidence surged instantly. Carrying the food back into the room, he said, Xiufu, sit down and eat. Or I'll smack you. Xiufu sat obediently. Okay. Li Yuanyi set down the dishes and added, you have to eat your fill. Skipping meals. Understood? She nodded. Understood. It was their first time sharing a meal together. After a short while, he felt an itch at the mark on his neck. He instinctively scratched it and noticed Xiufu staring at that very spot. She slammed her hand on the table, startling him. Leaning closer, she examined the reddened skin. You've been marked by the Dark Clan? Her tone carried anger. He decided to feign ignorance. They captured me earlier. One of them bit me. I escaped while they were hunting. Is the mark a problem? Xiufu analyzed calmly. A Dark Clan woman has taken interest in you. She'll force you to stay with her. He swallowed. She wasn't wrong. She struck the table again. We need to leave. Somewhere the Dark Clan can't reach. Why leave? He asked. If they fixate on you, you'll be treated as a breeding tool. Once you lose value, you'll be discarded. He looked at her seriously. Wouldn't that make you free? She froze. I just don't want someone I know to get hurt. Doubting monitored her emotional fluctuations, unable to determine whether it was rising affection level or corruption level. Seeing her avert her gaze, he chuckled softly. All right, I know you're loyal. Eat first. I'm exhausted from fishing. We'll talk about the mark tomorrow. She finally sat back down, he resolved silently. He had to calm her completely. Deng Qingshuang's existence must never be exposed. After dinner, he prepared a rest. Xiufu had already returned to her fox form, curled neatly on the bed, sleeping peacefully. He couldn't resist running his hand along her fluffy tail. The IT was unbelievably soft. He wondered if he'd ever try transforming into a wolf. Would wolf fur feel rougher? He gently rubbed his face against her tail, unable to stop himself. Xiufu jolted awake. He was touching her tail. Embarrassed and flustered, she muttered softly, "Don't touch the base of my tail, stop." Yet the little fox instinctively edged closer into his arms, finding the warmth comforting. Li Yuanyi gently stroked her head. "Good girl, that go back to sleep." The next morning, he opened his eyes. He glanced at Xiufu, still sleeping beside him. She really did look obedient like this. 2 hours later, she prepared to head out with the other female slaves for work. Before leaving, she reminded him to speak with the village chief about relocating. He waved as she left. He whispered to Doubting, "If I move out and Deng Qingshuang finds out, her corruption level will spike." But Xiufu had her own new plan. Torn between both sides, he decided to go talk to her again. In the orchard outside the tribe, Xiufu quietly picked fruit. Hidden behind a fruit tree, Shi Tianrui observed carefully, calculating that today he had to raise her affection level. He spent 2 points to purchase a pearl outfit from the system store. For 1 hour, it boosted his charm by 100, just as Xiufu placed fruit into her basket. Shi Tianrui called her name. She looked up to see an unfamiliar man with an oddly slick expression. He eagerly offered to carry her basket for her. Xiufu politely declined. "This is the work of female slaves. You don't need to interfere." Internally, Shi Tianrui felt defeated. Why wasn't the outfit working? Was she just shy? After all, even without dressing up, he was usually a 9 out of 10. At that moment, Li Yuanyi arrived and saw the brat trying to steal his girl. His patience snapped. He instantly switched into pitiful mode and called out softly, "Xiufu." She turned at the sound of his voice. He walked over with a deliberately hurt expression. "Since someone else is helping you, I guess you don't need me anymore." Shi Tianrui was puzzled, but ultimately dismissed Li Yuanyi as a loser with no real threat. Li Yuanyi put on a disappointed look and turned to leave. "I won't interrupt you two. Shouldn't have come out." Worried for nothing. Xiufu hurried after him. Doubting announced, "Xiufu's affection level plus 0.1. Reward, 5 points." He slung her fruit basket over his shoulder. "Then dinner's on you tonight. Make it amazing." Inwardly, he smirked, "Trying to steal my girl? Even the true male lead has to crawl back before this young master." Xiufu warned him, "Shi Tianrui knows I'm a female slave, yet openly covets me. His intentions aren't pure." He nodded with a grin. She added softly, "And don't act like that again, that if tribal men see it, they'll look down on you." She meant his exaggerated, pitiful act. He waved a hand in front of her face. She didn't flinch this time. "You're not as afraid of me anymore, are you?" She looked tense. "Walk properly. People might see." He replied gently, "I don't care what they think, that I just want to make up for what I owe you." She lowered her head. "You're the master. I'm the female slave. There's nothing to make up." Yet inwardly, she admitted he really had changed. Xiufu's affection level rose to 3 stars. She might just be a conquerable character in the book, but to him, she was nearly flawless. "Xiufu, you look beautiful when you smile. Smile more." She shyly averted her gaze. "Let's go home and eat." He followed with a grin. "I'll cook." Shi Tianrui watched their retreating figures and resolved to eliminate Li Yuanyi. Otherwise, Xiufu would never be his. He suspected Li Yuanyi was another transmigrator. Shui Ding urged immediate action. If Li Yuanyi conquered all 7 Villainesses first, they were finished. Shi Tianrui recalled a minor Dark Clan female character from the original novel. Give her hope, and she'd handle all the dirty work. That night, Li Yuanyi finished cooking and carried a bowl of hot soup into the room. A flash of lightning crackled behind him as a woman lunged at him. He reacted instantly, stepping sideways to dodge the attack. As the woman lunged again, Xiufu threw herself in front of Li Yuanyi. Lightning grazed her arm, leaving a scorched wound. She nearly lost her balance. He caught her in time. Thankfully, it wasn't serious. She turned back anxiously. "Is she the Dark Clan woman who marked you?" "No." The attacker's voice was icy. "Tonight is your death. Only if you die do I survive." Half an hour earlier, Shi Tianrui had found her and made an offer. "Kill Li Yuanyi, and I'll make you my witch. I'll give you status. If a human or beast race acknowledges you, you'll break free from the Dark Clan forever." She chose to believe him and came to assassinate. When she attacked again, Xiufu tried to shield him but was kicked straight out of the house. From the tree, Xiao Yuan witnessed everything, eyes narrowing. The Dark Clan dared to show up openly inside the tribe. Spells gathered silently in her palm. Meanwhile, killing intent surged in Li Yuan's eyes. No one touches his precious Tsiufu and walks away. Before the assassin could react, he activated his new technique and blasted her out of the house with a palm strike. Blood sprayed from her mouth. Before she even hit the ground, he blinked forward and drove a kick into her abdomen midair. She crashed heavily onto the earth. Xiao Yuan withdrew her spell and chuckled. Li Yuan, just how many surprises are you hiding? Watching him cripple the assassin, Tsiufu stood stunned. She had never realized he was this strong. He stepped on the Dark Clan woman and demanded coldly, "Who sent you?" She clenched her teeth and stayed silent. Li Yuan cast another spell, ending her with a wave of his hand. There was no reason to keep her alive. Tsiufu stared at him blankly, then crouched down and asked gently, "Other than your arm, are you hurt anywhere else?" Tsiufu narrowed her eyes. "When did you learn how to do that?" Li Yuan hesitated. He couldn't exactly say he had just bought a technique from the system store. So he improvised. "When the Dark Clan kidnapped me last time, I had a sudden breakthrough." She still looked doubtful. Could he actually be some kind of martial prodigy? From a distance, Xiao Yuan assessed the scene. Even the weakest Dark Clan member required at least a level 2 warrior to defeat. What Li Yuan had displayed was no accident. As for Tsiufu, injured, yes, but her inner potential was astonishing. Her core must be sealed. Xiao Yuan had only stopped by to recover from her own wounds. She hadn't expected to find something this interesting. As for the so-called original male lead, hardly impressive. Soon after Li Yuan killed the Dark Clan assassin, Elder Su Fu arrived with several tribal warriors, demanding an explanation. Li Yuan gestured at the corpse. "A Dark Clan infiltrator tried to assassinate me and Su Fu." The warriors examined the body and confirmed she was dead. Su Fu frowned. Who killed her? In his memory, Li Yuan couldn't even lift a bucket of water, let alone defeat an assassin. He didn't answer directly. "That's not the priority. We need to figure out how they got in." Su Fu spoke calmly. "Someone inside the village must have guided them." Su Fu considered it. The Dark Clan should be preparing for hibernation, unless someone promised them greater benefits. He looked at Li Yuan. "Did you offend anyone?" Su Fu raised her gaze to Li Yuan. "Remember the man who coveted me? It was probably him." She then turned to Su Fu and added, "That man's name is sure Tianrue that I've never seen him in the tribe before." Su Fu's expression hardened. He knew she was your female slave and still approached her privately. He sought refuge here days ago. "Warriors, bring him to me." 10 minutes later, Sure Tianrue was brought before everyone. Elder Su Fu grilled him on the spot, accusing him of framing Li Yuan and even suspecting he colluded with the Dark Clan to send an assassin. "Explain yourself." Sure Tianrue bowed respectfully. "Village chief, if you're going to doubt someone, you need evidence." Su Fu hesitated for a moment. On the surface, he didn't look like a criminal. Sure Tianrue smirked inwardly. He'd heard all about Li Yuan. Lazy, useless, and fond of beating female slaves. So how did that man get kidnapped by the Dark Clan and still come back alive? Alone? And now he even dared to turn around. Li Yuan snapped back coldly. "I came back because I can fight." Su Fu backed him up. "That Dark Clan female assassin was killed by my master with his own hands. Isn't that proof enough?" Sure Tianrue suddenly noticed the bite mark on Li Yuan's neck and latched onto it. He has a Dark Clan mark. If he was marked, how did he escape? He sneered to himself. Li Yuan was full of holes. In no way he could win this. Li Yuan sighed, too tired to keep arguing. He turned to Su Fu with a sincere expression. "I was going to talk to you about this anyway. Yes, I was marked, and I fought like hell to make it back." He planned to take Su Fu and move to Yanshan town to hide from the Dark Clan's pursuit. They would leave tomorrow. Su Fu worried Li Yuan had no way to make a living in Yanshan town, but Li Yuan was set on it. But Sure Tianrue suddenly stepped in front of them. Blocking the way, he was panicking. He couldn't let Li Yuan take Su Fu away. Su Fu frowned. "If they move, what does that have to do with you?" Sure Tianrue started making things up again. "We still haven't cleared up Li Yuan's connection to the Dark Clan, but he could be fleeing out of guilt." Li Yuan's face darkened. "I don't have proof you tried to set me up, but you don't have proof I'm in bed with the Dark Clan either." Su Fu's expression turned icy. Shuai Ding urgently warned Sure Tianrue. Su Fu's corruption level toward the host was rising fast. "Play it slow. Yanshan town had Villainesses worth conquering anyway." Sure Tianrue snorted. "Do whatever you want and I'm done." Watching him storm off, Li Yuan finally relaxed. At least Su Fu wasn't being stolen away tonight. Su Fu's gaze turned icy as she watched his retreating figure, killing intent quietly brewing in her heart. That man deserved to die. Sufu reminded Li Yuani to live properly once he reached Yangshan town. After everyone left, Sufu stared at the wrecked house and picked up a broken plank, trying to fix it. Don't bother. Li Yuani stopped her. If it's broken, let it stay broken. She hesitated. He took her hand. You never liked this place anyway. Let's treat it as a fresh start. We'll have a new home. A new home, she repeated softly. Yeah, our home. He lay down on the bed. Get some rest tonight. She glanced at the open door. Leaving it open isn't safe. He smiled faintly. Other than you, there's nothing in the Lee household worth stealing. Come over. I saved you a spot. I won't do anything to you. If you're worried, you can turn back into a fox. She hesitated, then agreed. If you try anything, I'll fight you with everything I have. After blowing out the candle, he said good night and closed his eyes. But she couldn't sleep. Memories of his protection and care replayed in her mind. She slowly turned around, moonlight falling across his face. Li Yuani, if you keep treating me like this, I'll stay with you. I'll live properly with you. He opened his eyes. You don't have to force yourself. Doubting announced. Sufu's affection level +2. Reward 100 points. As her affection level rose to 4 stars, he gently patted her head. Let's start over. I won't treat you like I did before. I'm sorry. Sufu froze for a moment, then wrapped her arms tightly around his arm. The next morning, Li Yuani woke first. Sufu's affection level was glowing at 4 stars, just 1 short max. She opened her eyes and found him staring at her from close range. Flustered, she quickly turned her back and muttered that she'd simply slept too deeply. He chuckled. It's fine. I need to head out for a bit. Start packing. She asked what was so urgent that he told her he needed to register household documents and prepare supplies for the journey. She nodded obediently. He rubbed her fluffy fox ears with a fond smile. Wait for me. As he stepped outside, he didn't notice Xiao Yuan of the Snake Clan shadowing him from distance. He's leaving again? She wondered. Shouldn't he be packing? A flash of blue light burst forth. And just like before, Li Yuani vanished into thin air. Xiao Yuan shifted into human form, eyes narrowing. Where did he learn such high-tier magic? If she devoured him, could she gain that power? Either way, she planned to head to Yangshan town soon. Her injuries were nearly healed. Meanwhile, Li Yuani had already teleported to the entrance of Deng Qingshuang's cave. He spent 5 points to buy a basket of meat and walked in with a smile. She had sensed him long before he spoke. Suddenly, she lunged from behind and wrapped her arms around him, bombarding him with questions. Are you better? Why were you gone so long? Is that meat to keep me company through hibernation? I missed you. He walked deeper into the cave, answering gently. I missed you too. I brought food and fruit just for you. We of the Wolf Clan don't hibernate. But my injury isn't fully healed. I need to seek treatment. She froze. Where are you going? His heart tightened. He'd hoped to brush it off. She was still as sharp as ever. He set the basket down and took her hands. I chose to leave during your hibernation so that when you wake up, I'll already be back. And I swore I'd never abandon you. Deng Qingshuang turned her face away. But I'm still scared. Li Yuani pulled her into his arms. I know it hasn't been easy for you. You don't trust easily because you're protecting yourself. I don't blame you for doubting me. Doubting quietly prompted. Deng Qingshuang's affection level was slowly rising. If the host coaxed her a bit more, the little pink heart would light up. He continued softly. I'll grow stronger to break your dark clan curse. I'll give you a stable life. Whenever you want to see me, I'll come back. We already share a connection. Every time you feel down, I show up. I've never lied to you, right? You haven't. Doubting announced. Affection level surged. Reward 80 points. But it reminded the host she's prone to insecurity and that pink heart could fade again. He closed his eyes and kissed her gently on the forehead. She suddenly asked in a soft voice, before you leave, can you help me one more time? Meeting her hopeful gaze, he smiled indulgently. No problem, whatever you say. She nodded obediently. It wasn't until night that he teleported back. Sufu was packing inside the house when he returned, smiling brightly at him. Sweat beaded along her forehead. He set down 3 fish and a chicken he'd replenished on the way, reaching out to brush aside her messy hair. Look at you, working so hard your hair's a mess. She suddenly leaned into his chest and whispered, don't treat me so well, I'm afraid I'll fall for you. At dawn the next day, he bid farewell to Uncle Su, who had treated him like family, and set off toward Yangshan town with Sufu. After 2 full days of travel, they stopped beside a waterfall to make camp. He told her bathe first while he went to gather firewood, but she felt that collecting firewood was a trivial matter that should be her job. Li Yuani shook his head. We've already left the tribe. Stop thinking of yourself as a female slave. That we're family now. Sufu froze, stunned that he would say something like that. Go on, he urged. I checked the area and no one's around. Her heart pounded wildly in her chest. Doubting practically worshipped him. "Host, you're amazing, and no matter what you do, the fox baby's affection level goes up." Li Yuanyi walked deeper into the forest, noticing how unusually dense the vegetation was. Suddenly, Doubting remembered a forest clan villainess from the original story, Ruan Lingzhu. This kind of terrain was exactly her domain. It quickly scanned the coordinates. Sure enough, this was her territory. Without warning, an emerald green vine shot out from behind a tree. It coiled around him instantly, hoisting him upside down against the trunk. Li Yuanyi stiffened that it had to be Ruan Lingzhu in the novel. She was a side character, but obsessed with looks. The true male lead was a top-tier heartthrob that he, barely a 6 out of 10 barefaced. The odds didn't look good. Doubting protested. "Host, your charisma is maxed out. You'll be fine." Then Ruan Lingzhu appeared, stepping closer to inspect him carefully. "Oh, a wolf clan Boyd. It's been so long since I've seen something alive." Li Yuanyi recalled that she was supposed to be sealed by the forest clan's high priest. Still asleep? Oh, this wasn't her true body? She leaned closer. "What's your name?" "Li Yuanyi," he answered honestly. She blinked slowly. "You smell nice. You must taste delicious." Inside, he completely broke. Who asked their food for its name? What kind of twisted habit is that? Just then, Xiufu's urgent voice echoed from a distance. "Li Yuanyi." Ruan Lingzhu paused in thought before leaving. "I'll come find you again." With that, she vanished, and the vines binding him loosened instantly. He hit the ground hard. Xiufu rushed over, panic written across her face. "Are you okay?" He sighed, ran into someone from the forest clan. "Complicated." She sensed the lingering chill in the air and grabbed his arm. "Something's wrong here. We need to leave." Half a month later, after leaving the forest clan territory behind, they finally arrived at Yangshan town. It was a bustling town where beast folk and humans coexisted. Li Yuanyi couldn't help admiring it. Yangshan really is thriving. Xiufu's expression dimmed. "My hometown was even more prosperous." He gently rubbed her fluffy ears. "Then I'll help you rebuild it." In the original novel, Shi Tianrui had helped her restore the Fox clan, and she'd eventually become the new queen. This time, Li Yuanyi would do even better. Xiufu suddenly asked, "Do you know about my past?" He forced a small laugh. "Just a guess. I used to be awful. But looking back, I finally understand how hard it was for you." She studied him with complicated eyes. "Sometimes it feels like you become someone else." He quickly replied, "I'm still me. People grow to, I just don't want you to keep hating me." She smiled softly. "Whatever happens, I hope you stay like this." He nodded. "Don't worry. First, let's find a place to stay." Xiufu smiled brightly. "I have somewhere to stay." She led Li Yuanyi to the gates of an imposing mansion and knocked softly. The woman who opened the door was a striking Fox clan beauty. The moment she saw Xiufu, her eyes widened in shock. Her name was Aunt Chun, once the personal attendant to Xiufu's mother, fiercely loyal to the Fox clan and a renowned warrior in her own right. They embraced tightly. Aunt Chun's voice trembled. "Your Highness, I never thought I'd see you again in this lifetime." Xiufu gently wiped the tears from her eyes. "After that incident, I was sold to a wolf clan tribe." Aunt Chun's expression changed instantly, pain flashing across her face. She could only imagine what the princess had endured. Xiufu smiled reassuringly. "It's all right that it's all in the past now." Aunt Chun's gaze shifted to Li Yuanyi, sharp and assessing. The air grew tense. After all, the one who had abused Xiufu was the former owner of this very body. Xiufu introduced him softly. "He was my master." Li Yuanyi quickly added, "Not anymore, we're family now." Aunt Chun fell silent for a moment before taking Xiufu's hand and leading her toward a room she had prepared long ago. She had never forgotten her promise. The Fox Emperor and Empress had once shown her immense kindness. She brought Xiufu to a lavishly decorated chamber and told her to rest. But Xiufu tugged at her sleeve. "Can Li Yuanyi stay next door? He's been good to me. Please don't worry." Aunt Chun frowned slightly, clearly unconvinced. In the end, she rolled her eyes at Li Yuanyi and allowed him the adjacent room. "Clean it yourself." Then she turned back to Xiufu with a warm smile. "I'll prepare a proper welcome feast for tonight." After she left, Xiufu moved to help Li Yuanyi tidy his room, but he stopped her. "You don't have to." Xiufu looked at him sincerely. "You gave me back my freedom. Cleaning your room is nothing." Li Yuanyi nodded and stepped into his room. She sighed softly. "I haven't been back to Yangshan town since I was sold. It's changed so much. Want to go out tonight?" He smiled. "Anywhere you want, I'll go with you." Suddenly, Doubting's voice blared in his mind. "Warning, Deng Qingshuang's corruption level is spiking rapidly." His heart dropped. "What? Why?" Xiufu frowned. "What's wrong?" He forced a smile. "Nothing. Just need to use the restroom." With that, he hurried outside. Once he was far enough, he ordered the system to teleport him. In the blink of an eye, he vanished from Aunt Chun's estate and reappeared at Deng Qingshuang's cave. What he saw made his chest tighten. There were clear signs of battle at the entrance. He was about to rush in when Deng Qingshuang was blasted out of the cave. He instinctively caught her, but the impact knocked them both to the ground. She was badly hurt. Yes, he demanded to know what happened. She pushed him away. "Run, don't worry about me." Then 3 women from the Dark Clan stepped out, their eyes gleaming with predatory hunger. Well, that a little wolf pup delivered himself. Fair and tender, looks delicious. Our winter food supply is settled. The blonde leader stared at him, calculating no rush. We'll take turns enjoying him first. Once we secure his seed, we'll dry him into meat. Deng Qingshuang trembled, afraid he wouldn't stand a chance, that he'd be eaten alive. Doubting's alarm rang again. Her corruption level was rising even faster. To steady Deng Qingshuang, Li Yuanyi told her to stay put. "Leave the rest to me." He rose slowly and faced the 3 women of the Dark Clan, voice turning ice cold. "You touched someone who belongs to me. Tired of living?" Deng Qingshuang froze that he just called her his. The blonde sneered. The 3 of them cracked their knuckles, ready to teach him a lesson. But Li Yuanyi wasn't worried in the slightest. He had already spent 50 points on an advanced combat skill. The blonde charged first, fist cocked back. "Come on, little wolf cub. Let big sis show you." She never finished the sentence. One punch sent her flying. "Who the hell are you calling sister?" The green-haired and red-haired women were stunned. The contempt in their eyes vanished, replaced by caution. This wolf cub had bite. They lunged at the same time. Li Yuanyi didn't even move, but he smiled faintly. 2 thunderous punches. Both were blasted backward, smashing hard into the rock wall. Behind him, Deng Qingshuang stared in disbelief that he was this strong. He walked toward the 3 injured women, gaze merciless. "I don't hit women, but anyone who harms my family dies. You believe in survival of the fittest, right? Now it's your turn." With a final strike, he ended the fight cleanly. He turned back to Deng Qingshuang. "I'll carry you inside. Now let's treat your wounds." Doubting's notification chimed, her affection level skyrocketing. Reward, 200 points. Li Yuanyi carried her gently to the stone bed inside the cave. He pulled antiseptic and cotton swabs from his system inventory. "Let me stop the bleeding first. That IT might sting a little." Just as he dipped the swab into the iodine, Deng Qingshuang suddenly leaned forward and kissed him. He grew slightly flustered. "Hey, let me treat the wound first, or it'll reopen." But she didn't seem to hear him at all. He had no choice but to put on a stern face. "Be good. Let me finish treating the wound." She blinked, then finally settled down. As he applied the medicine, he murmured softly, "Hibernate in peace, that I'll come back to see you every few days." She lifted her head sharply. "You're still leaving?" He explained, "The Lakeside tribe needs to urgently stock up before the heavy snow seals the mountains. That one of their people. I can't just ignore them." Her gaze fell in disappointment. "If I abandon my own people out of selfishness, wouldn't you worry I'd abandon you one day too? It's the same logic." Her nose reddened, and tears began to slide down her cheeks. He wiped her tears away, forcing a bitter smile. Conquer the villainess. He was acting like a villain full of lies himself. After finishing the treatment, he gently ruffled her hair. "Wait for me to come see you." She clutched his hand tightly. "So soon? Can't you leave tomorrow?" His heart softened. "All right, I'll wait until you fall asleep before I go to. It's not safe to head back too late anyway." Doubting chimed in. Deng Qingshuang's affection level had risen. She was trying to accept that he would leave again. She leaned against his chest and whispered, "I hate hibernating. 3 months of sleep feels like forever." He promised softly, "One day, I'll take you somewhere that doesn't require hibernation, that we won't have to be apart." She nodded obediently. He had told many lies before, but this one was real. Soon, she drifted into deep sleep. Li Yuanyi activated the teleportation. In the next instant, he appeared outside Aunt Chun's estate. He quickly brushed the dirt off his clothes and shoes, not wanting Xiufu to notice anything suspicious. But as he stepped toward the stairs, he saw her standing there with her arms crossed, waiting. "You were gone a long time. Where did you go?" He stammered, "Couldn't find a restroom, so I went outside the town." The moment the words left his mouth, he wanted to slap himself. Who would believe that? Xiufu looked at him silently. Why is he lying? But she didn't press further. "Your room's ready to go wash up and rest." He froze. She clearly didn't believe him. Yet she chose not to question him. That somehow hurt more. 2 targets in, and he was already struggling. Doubting reminded him. Once a villainess is fully conquered, her corruption level won't spike again. With Deng Qingshuang in hibernation, it might be best to max out Xiufu's affection level first. But sure Tianrui had suffered a setback before that if he followed them to Yangshan town, things would get complicated. He needed to move first, conquer the villainess in Yangshan town before sure Tianrui could. First impressions were everything that as long as she sided with him. Sure Tianrui would lose his leverage. Li Yuanyi pushed the door open and declared loudly, "Young people shouldn't complain about being tired so easily that we're not draft animals." The moment the words left his mouth, he collapsed back onto the bed. Lately, he was so exhausted he felt like he was developing stress nodules. He browsed the system store and discovered Doji and Baihua Snake Grass Water were available for just 1 point, with unlimited refills. Doubting praised his taste, insisting that everything he touched turned out successful. Li Yuanyi figured one good drink, and he'd be restored to full HP, brimming with energy. Recently, Xiufu had been out almost every day with Aunt Chun running errands, only returning late into the night. He used that time to secretly teleport and check on Deng Qing in her hibernation. After returning, he would spray himself with an odor-masking spray to hide his scent. At dinner, Xiufu caught his scent and asked in confusion, "Why do you smell so nice lately?" He forced a calm expression, went out and smelled someone's body odor. Made me realize I use a skip bath to... Oh, now I'm being diligent. The moment he finished, he regretted it. That excuse sounded way too suspicious. Xiufu only responded with a soft "oh." "Well, you did use the stink." Her eyes clearly showed she knew he was lying, but she deliberately chose not to press. That unsettled him even more. A month passed in a blur. The villainous Kuan Yue of Yangshan town still hadn't returned to town. Rumor had it she'd gone to the royal court to meet Xiufu. Li Yuanyi just hoped sure Tianrui wouldn't get lucky and cross paths with her. As he was thinking, Xiufu's voice came from outside. It was her first time coming back this early. Her small face carried a hint of guilt. She said she'd been too busy lately and had neglected him. There was a temple fair in town tonight. Did you want to go with her? Li Yuanyi paused when he looked at Xiufu. She looked especially sweet tonight. Since he had nothing urgent to do, spending time with her would boost her affection level anyway. He moved to change clothes, but she caught his hand. No need. She draped a warm black cloak over his shoulders that she'd made herself. He was genuinely surprised. Despite coming home late every night, she had still found time to sew this for him. He pulled her gently into his arms. "I'm sorry for everything I did before." Her heart warmed. She looked up at him. "The festival's about to start. Let's go." He sighed inwardly. This silly fox had never been treated kindly, that a little warmth from him, and she trusted him completely. They stepped into the bustling temple fair street. To his surprise, she took his hand first. "There's a parade tonight. The high priestess will ride in a ceremonial float." He stiffened. Kuan Yue was back? Xiufu explained, Kuan Yue is the high priestess of the Lianfeng royal line of the Canine clan. Her status is extremely high. The matters I've been busy with are related to her. My power is sealed, but she once helped a beast like me restore others that I've also been contacting my parents through Aunt Chun. So please don't be upset. He smiled lightly. Why would I be angry? But inwardly, he asked, doubting. Aren't villainesses forbidden from meeting each other? Doubting clarified. They're only restricted from knowing about their relationships with the host. That prevents premature jealousy and corruption level spikes before full conquest. He rolled his eyes internally. Next time, explain that properly. I thought I'd die the moment they met. Xiufu gently tugged his hand. Kuan Yue is here. Several warriors of the Canine clan carried an ornate sedan chair through the street. Inside sat the high priestess, Kuan Yue herself. Li Yuanyi finally laid eyes on the new villainess. Xiufu whispered, she despises men, very difficult to approach. He understood. Conquering her wouldn't be easy, but the harder it was, the more intrigued he became. After the procession passed, he bought Xiufu a steaming bun, only to nearly drop it from the heat. Then he picked out a ridiculous hat and placed it on his own head. She burst into laughter. Soon the festival's grand finale began. Fireworks blossomed across the night sky, and Xiufu's face lit up with joy. On their way back, Doubting announced, Xiufu's affection level was skyrocketing. Reward, 150 points. Back at the estate, Xiufu prepared hot water for him to bathe. Aunt Chun walked in and frowned. Your Highness, you've regained your freedom. There's no need to do such chores, especially for that wolfman. Xiufu only smiled softly. Maybe I'm just used to it. Aunt Chun sighed. You are a noble princess. If the Fox King hadn't been betrayed back then, that wolfman wouldn't even be worthy of carrying your shoes. Xiufu shook her head. You don't understand. Go rest. We still have important matters in a few days. Aunt Chun narrowed her eyes. Be honest. Have you fallen for that boy? Xiufu's cheeks flushed. What fallen? His parents bought me as a bride candidate back, then did I just feel sorry for him being alone in a foreign place. Aunt Chun gave her a knowing look and said earnestly, "I understand, but you must learn to keep your eyes wide open." Xiufu nodded. "I'll remember that." Aunt Chun yawned, turned, and left the room. Xiufu sat quietly by herself for a while, feeling a strange panic. Ever since returning from the temple fair, her heart had been racing non-stop. As she poured hot bathwater into the wooden tub for him, Li Yuani suddenly caught a faint, lingering scent in the air. It wasn't soap. Doubting alerted him. It was pheromones emitting from Xiufu. That's when it hit him that in 2 days, she would turn 19, and oh wonder she'd seemed a bit off today. Around the age of 19, members of the Fox clan naturally release pheromones for about a week. At this age, most already have partners to help ease their discomfort. He wanted to help her, but he was afraid of bungling it and triggering her corruption level to spike instead. Lost in thought, he heard her turn and call out, "You can wash now." "What are you spacing out for?" He cleared his throat lightly. "There's something I need to talk to you about." Xiufu told him to finish soaking first. "The water cools fast in winter, but don't catch a cold." Li Yuani spoke up anyway. "In 2 days, it's your 19th birthday." She froze, clearly having forgotten, and one had celebrated her birthday for her in years. He asked directly, "You know Fox clan members release pheromones at 19, right?" Xiufu stiffened instantly, lowering her head as she whispered, "No wonder my heart has been beating so wildly." Li Yuani continued, "Your pheromones are a fatal attraction to me, that I treated you badly before, and I don't know how you see me now, that I don't want to take advantage of you to SO during this period. I might instinctively mark you." The words had barely settled when, amidst the intertwining pheromones, she had already been marked by him without realizing it. The air grew quiet for a few seconds. Then, Xiufu suddenly rose on her toes and kissed him softly. Li Yuani was completely stunned. After a few seconds, Xiufu spoke softly. "I was bought to become your bride in the first place." Li Yuani stared at her, momentarily speechless. She grew flustered under his gaze. "Don't look at me like that. I'll get shy." His heart pounded wildly. It was the first time he had truly looked at a girl's face like this, without walls, without pretense. This time, he was the one who initiated the kiss. Yet his mind was in chaos. He had come here to conquer the Villainesses, so why did it feel like he was the one being conquered? He suddenly pulled back, taking half a step away. A flicker of unease crossed her eyes. "I've just been a little strange today," he said quickly. She stepped forward instead, meeting his gaze. "I hated you once that I despised you. You know that, right?" "I know." She lowered her head, her voice light. "But you suddenly changed into a different person. And now, I just want one answer. Are you sincere about me?" Of course he was. Memories flooded him, pretending to scold her while treating her wounds, always giving her the best of everything. The little moments he had overlooked now felt overwhelming. Doubting warned, "Xiufu's emotions are fluctuating intensely. Host, please answer carefully." Li Yuani knew the truth clearly. When he first transmigrated, he had approached her only to complete a quest, but somewhere along the way, he couldn't tell the difference anymore. When she smiled, he felt happy without realizing it. When she was hurt, his chest ached. The so-called mission had long blurred into a mess. Maybe losing clarity meant he had actually fallen for her. He pulled her tightly into his arms. Xiufu stiffened slightly. "I won't give myself to anyone else," he whispered. "You're my only choice." Xiufu gave him a light shove. Li Yuani lost his balance and fell straight into the wooden tub behind him, water splashing everywhere. For that brief moment, the world belonged to just the two of them. Her affection level finally maxed out at 5 stars. First villainess conquered. Doubting rewarded him with 1,000 points. The next morning, the male lead, Shi Tianrui, stepped into Yangshan town. A sharp pain twisted through his chest. System alert. Xiufu has been completely purified. Host must conquer another villainess immediately and accumulate 3,000 points. Unlock level. 6 system store to obtain the forced reversal item and reactivate the corruption level attributes. At the same time, Xiufu slowly woke up. She opened her eyes to find Li Yuani quietly watching her, leaving her momentarily stunned. When she learned he'd been awake for a while, she hurriedly sat up, remembering she still had errands with Aunt Chun. He scratched his head. "Tomorrow's your birthday. Come back early." She nodded. Then she rushed back to her room to get ready. Li Yuani felt on top of the world. First heroine successfully conquered. No, maybe he was the one who'd been conquered. For the first time, this world felt unbelievably bright. Suddenly, Doubting shouted, "Get up! Emergency!" Doubting had leveled up to rank 4 and detected the arrival of the main system in Yangshan town. Li Yuani sobered instantly. Shi Tianrui had to be here for Kuan Yue. Teleport now. The next second, Li Yuanyi appeared beside an oak tree outside Chuanyue's residence, barely steadying himself. From the other side of the wall, he heard Shi Tianrui complaining. Apparently, he'd been turned away. According to the original setting, Kuan Yue, high priestess of the Canine clan, deeply despised men. Through the Shuai Ding system, Shi Tianrui had learned about a scar she carried. A scar removal ointment from the system store would supposedly solve everything. But that didn't matter if he couldn't even get through the door. Still, he carried the protagonist halo. His system was more advanced than Doubting's. He'd figure something out eventually. Li Yuanyi acted first. Does the system store have anything that temporarily changes my gender? Doubting scanned. No. However, there's an alternative recommendation. For 50 minutes, the target will perceive the host as female. Item name, cross-dressing boss. Cost, 100 points. Li Yuanyi frowned. He couldn't see how he'd look from others' perspectives. This felt like a trap. Doubting assured him it was the best match for his current objective. Finally, he decisively bought it. Warning. Once the timer ends, the illusion collapses instantly in the target's perception, revealing your true form. He decided to test it on Shi Tianrui first to see if he'd be exposed. Taking a deep breath, he stepped towards Shi Tianrui's direction. The moment his foot touched the ground, the item's effect activated. In Shi Tianrui's eyes, he transformed into a tall, silver-haired mature beauty with an icy aura. Seeing the way Shi Tianrui stared, Li Yuanyi felt speechless. Being ogled by a man like that was genuinely unsettling. He simply ignored him and walked straight toward the gates of Chuanyue's residence. Shi Tianrui's gaze clung tightly to her silhouette, sighing inwardly. If only one of his target heroines looked like that. As he moved away, Li Yuanyi began calculating what excuse he could use to request an audience with High Priestess Kuan Yue. Kuan Yue was different from the other Villainesses. She would never raise a hand against a woman, but against men, she showed no mercy. Li Yuanyi remembered the scar she carried from childhood. That would be his opening. He spent points in the system store to purchase a scar removal ointment. Step 1. Gain her trust, even to the point of sharing a bed. With tears brimming in his eyes, he ran to the gates. This humble girl seeks an audience with High Priestess Kuan Yue. The two female guards asked about his purpose. When she hesitated in embarrassment, they exchanged knowing glances. One of them gently opened the gates and ushered him inside. That he thanked them profusely. On the way, a guard whispered, "Does this involve a man? Don't be afraid. The High Priestess will help you." Just as he had researched, Kuan Yue not only led sacred rituals, but also secretly aided women wronged by men. When he was brought before her, she sat outside a tranquil pavilion. One guard squeezed her hand lightly. "Trust the High Priestess." Li Yuanyi lifted the white gauze curtain and stepped into the courtyard. Kuan Yue gestured politely, her tone gentle. "Please sit." She personally poured him a cup of tea. "Ease your throat. What troubles you?" He studied her quietly. She truly was exceptionally gentle toward women. Had her childhood not been so cruel, perhaps she would not have gone to such extremes. In the original story, Chuanyue's father abandoned her and her mother in pursuit of power. Her mother never recovered and passed away within a year. Kuan Yue wandered alone until, at 8 years old, she was sold to an elder of the ape clan as a slave. As she grew older, the man's intentions turned vile, and he attempted to violate her. She fought desperately and escaped. Later, she was fortunate enough to be taken in as a disciple by the Phoenix clan's high priestess. Only then did she achieve her current position. When she remained silent, Kuan Yue offered a gentle smile. "If you don't wish to speak, that's fine. Simply resting here is enough." Li Yuanyi felt a sharp tug in his chest. She was kind, truly kind. He had to save her. She deserved to know the world still held decent people. He spoke softly. "It involves a distant cousin. I want to learn business from him. But my family says I'm a woman. I shouldn't be out showing my face in public. My father even plans to marry me off to a man 20 years older than me to stop me." Xuan Yue's expression hardened. She struck the stone table lightly. Outrageous. How could a father treat his own daughter like that over something so trivial? She pulled her into a gentle embrace, her tone soft yet firm. "Don't be afraid. This is Yangshan town that I will not allow such injustice. Go speak to him calmly first. If he refuses to listen, come back to me and I'll stand for you." Li Yuanyi bowed gratefully. "Thank you, High Priestess. Talking with you has already eased my heart." He then took out the scar removal ointment as a token of thanks. "My cousin made this that I heard its scar removal effects are very good." She seemed surprised and waved it off politely. "That's unnecessary." But he insisted. "Please accept it, High Priestess." If she used it, the third stage of his plan would become much easier. He placed the ointment on the stone table and hurried away. Kuan followed him out of the pavilion, but stopped her steps. Thinking of the girl's situation, she sighed softly. When she turned back, her complicated gaze lingered on the jar of ointment. In his attempt to conquer the third villainess, Liuani had barely managed to execute his plan that on his way back, he nearly ran into his fox baby. Xiufu had come seeking Kuan to discuss lifting the seal inside her body. Later, when she returned home in high spirits, she caught a faint trace of Yue's scent lingering on him, right after he had left the scar removal ointment behind and stepped out of Yue's estate. Doubting suddenly alerted him. Host Xiufu is nearby. Hide quickly. He immediately slipped behind a large tree in a panic. From afar, he saw Xiufu and Aunt Chun approaching with solemn expressions, clearly here to negotiate the matter of the seal with Kuan. Only after they passed did he quietly retreat. What he didn't realize was that everything had been witnessed by the snake girl Xiaoyun, hidden in the shadows. She narrowed her eyes and muttered softly, Liuani is actually talking to himself and avoiding Xiufu. He must be hiding a lot of secrets. What an interesting man. Meanwhile, Xiufu and Aunt Chun were led into the main hall by female guards. Xiufu knelt respectfully and requested the high priestess to remove the seal within her. Kuan paused when she heard her name. You are the Fox Clan's princess. Xiufu answered softly, I'm no longer a princess. The Fox Clan has been fallen for years. Kuan saw the obsession in her eyes, the desire to revive the Fox Clan and avenge her parents and people. Xiufu bowed deeply, pleading, seeking justice for my parents and family is only natural. Please, High Priestess, help me. Kuan regarded her steadily. Removing the seal isn't a matter of a day or two, and the process will be excruciating. Are you sure about this? Xiufu's gaze was resolute. As long as I can regain my power, I'm willing to pay any price. Kuan looked slightly surprised, then nodded. Very well. Give me a few days to prepare, that I'll send someone to notify you. Xiufu's heart relaxed, and she smiled like a child. Thank you, High Priestess. Meanwhile, Liuani whispered to Doubting, is there a way for me to go out and conquer other villainesses without Xiufu noticing? Doubting recommended, substitute doll.it can simulate the host's expressions and basic movements and answer simple questions. However, there is a risk of being exposed. Cost, 100 points. Valid for 1 month. Expires automatically if not renewed. Liuani looked completely speechless. I transmigrated to another world, and I still have to pay for a VIP subscription? In the end, he decided to try it out for a month. After dinner tonight, he'd find an excuse to return to his room and let the doll take his place. After all, he had to keep an eye on whether Kuan used the scar removal ointment that determined if the third step of his plan could unfold at the same time. He needed to guard against Sure Tianre, who would surely devise a countermeasure soon. Doubting praised him for his clear thinking. An hour later, Xiufu returned to the estate and excitedly threw herself into his arms. High Priestess Kuan agreed to help me lift the seal. Liuani was just about to celebrate with her. But Xiufu's expression shifted. Why do you smell like the High Priestess? His heart skipped a beat. Damned, he'd forgotten to mask his scent after leaving Chuanyue's estate. Doubting alerted urgently. Host, negative emotional fluctuation detected. Even with her affection level maxed out, jealousy might destabilize mission progression. When he remained silent, she asked softly, did you go see Kuan Yue? He forced an awkward smile and turned his face aside, feigning embarrassment. I didn't want to tell you. I only went because I wanted to help you lift your seal sooner. I gave her the scar removal ointment and tried to speak on your behalf. But you know she despises men. I barely managed to get inside, and she kicked me out after just a few words. I felt too useless to bring it up. Good thing you solved it yourself. Xiufu grabbed his hand tightly, her eyes full of self-blame. You want to see the High Priestess all by yourself? Just for me? She hugged him firmly. I'm sorry that I shouldn't have doubted you. Liuani exhaled inwardly. Conquering these villainesses was mentally exhausting. After dinner, once Xiufu returned to her room to rest, he summoned the substitute doll he had exchanged from the system store. An identical double stood before him. Cover for me. Pretend to sleep first. Improvise if needed, he instructed in a low voice. The doll obediently lay down, pulled the blanket over itself, and closed its eyes. Satisfied, Liuani smiled and ordered Doubting to teleport him back to Chuanyue's estate. At that very moment, Kuan Yue was bathing in the hot spring within her rear courtyard. She looked down at the old scars across her skin, her fingertips trembling slightly, jaw tightening. She scrubbed her skin hard, as if she could wash away the unbearable past by force. Meanwhile, Liuani had already sneaked onto the roof, watching from the shadows. Doubting, run a scan. Host, scanning indicates Chuanyue's corruption level is rising. His heart sank. she really was reliving those memories again. Fortunately, she had fought back desperately back then and killed that beast herself. Just then, splash, with a loud crash, something plummeted into the hot spring. The maid shrieked and rushed forward, hastily wrapping Kuan Yue in an outer robe. Doubting who fell in? Target identified. Male lead Shi Tianrui. Li Yuanyi froze. What the hell was he trying to pull? Shi Tianrui staggered to his feet in the water, cursing internally. The elasticity of this jumping item is ridiculous. How did it launch me straight into a hot spring pool? Before Kuan Yue could see his face clearly, he planned to retreat first. However, a golden magic array suddenly flared to life, trapping him firmly in the water. It was Kuan Yue who had cast it. Her gaze was ice cold, fury surging within. Man, do you not know what place this is? Sure, Tianrui hurriedly defended himself, claiming he was just passing by. Kuan Yue let out a cold sneer, obviously not believing a single word. Sure, Tianrui hurriedly pulled out the scar removal ointment. High Priestess, I came specifically to deliver this to you. Inside, however, he angrily cursed his system. Why did it drop him straight into the hot spring pool? Shuai Ding responded meekly. The teleportation feature transfers the host randomly near the target. It could not predict she was bathing. Xuan Yue's expression was ice cold, completely unmoved. Sees this suspicious man with ulterior motives. Realizing the situation was turning bad, Shi Tianrui immediately activated emergency teleportation, vanishing from the spot the next second. Her fury unquelled, Kuan Yue issued a direct order. From today onward, strengthen the security within the estate. Any male who steps half a foot inside without permission will be thrown straight into the dungeon. From a rooftop, Li Yuanyi watched with a face full of confusion. Was that maneuver a mistake? Doubting analyzed, estimated to be a system miscalculation that IT seems the male lead makes amateur mistakes too. Or was it deliberate? Using this kind of dramatic entrance to get Xuan Yue's attention, Li Yuanyi frowned. That's a ruthless move. Doubting, however, stated, based on data analysis, he's not that smart. After the male lead's disruption, Kuan Yue stormed off in a rage. Doubting asked, "What now, host?" Li Yuanyi pondered for a moment. She's on extreme high alert right now. We can only retreat for the time being. He activated teleportation and returned to Aunt Chun's residence the next second. Just as he steadied his footing, a soft knock sounded from outside the door. Are you asleep? It was Tsiufu. Li Yuanyi quickly withdrew the substitute doll back into the system inventory. Opening the door, he saw Tsiufu standing there in a cute white dress. Asking cautiously, "Can I come in and sit for a bit?" He smiled and stepped aside to let her in. Tsiufu pulled a piece of mung bean cake from her sleeve and looked at him sweetly. "I bought this on my way back today. I don't know if you'll like it." Li Yuanyi pulled her gently into his arms. "If it's from you, I'll love it." Tsiufu finally confessed what she had been holding back in her heart. The High Priestess said breaking the seal will be painful. I didn't show fear in front of her, but I'm actually still a little scared. He pinched her small cheek lightly, his tone gentle yet firm. "Since you've already made your choice, I'll stay with you through it. Whenever you need me, I'll be there." Her heart pounded wildly. She buried her face in his chest again, whispering, "I hope you stay like this, don't turn back into who you used to be." He reassured her softly, though he knew the truth in his heart. The old Li Yuanyi was long gone, at the least until he returned to reality. He would treat her well. Doubting suddenly chimed in. "Good news, Xuan Yue's corruption level decreased. Affection level +1. She must have used the scar removal ointment." Li Yuanyi thought to himself that by tomorrow morning, he might harvest even more points. After they had talked for a while, Tsiufu lowered her head and asked shyly, "In a little while, it'll be my birthday. Can I stay in this room tonight?" He smiled and nodded in agreement, fully aware in his heart. For the next 7 days, she would be continuously releasing high concentrations of pheromones. Good thing Deng Qingshuang was in hibernation, or he'd never managed to split his attention. Still, he had some concerns and voiced his difficulties to Doubting. Doubting recommended Nutrient Solution. Enhances physical stamina. Costs 10 points, unlocking unlimited refills after a single purchase. Li Yuanyi placed the order without hesitation and downed a bottle on the spot. The effect was immediate. His energy was instantly replenished. A faint fragrance began drifting from Tsiufu's body. She nestled obediently against his chest. He wrapped his arms around her and whispered, "Happy birthday." Not long after, a female subordinate reported to Kuan Yue, "We searched the entire city, but couldn't find the young lady from yesterday. She may have already left town." Kuan Yue frowned slightly. Did she elope with that cousin of hers? The thought made her laugh. Fiery personality, that I like it. She ordered her people to continue searching, though not to force it if the girl truly disappeared, and to investigate the scar removal ointment in the marketplace. By noon, he was reclining lazily in a wooden chair under the sun, while Tsiufu and Aunt Chun discussed matters in low voices nearby. The whole neighborhood was already buzzing. Kuan-Yue had sent people everywhere to track the girl down. When she finally asked about the ointment, he would reveal himself at just the right moment and make a proper introduction. After all, those scars were humiliation she could never erase. As he was thinking, Tsiufu came over and sat beside him. She planned to wait until this special phase passed before seeking the High Priestess to remove the seal that IT would be a difficult stretch for her. He tapped his chest with a grin. "It's nothing, but I'll follow your lead." She shyly turned her face away. He couldn't help complimenting her. "You're beautiful." Her cheeks flushed even deeper, and he sat there smiling like a fool. After a while, she spoke thoughtfully. "Once my power returns, I might not be able to stay by your side all the time." He knew exactly what that meant in the original story. Once she regained her strength, she reconnected with her parents' former subordinates, plotted to rebuild the Fox clan's regime, and a year later led a campaign to purge the traitors. He nodded solemnly. "Don't worry, I'll be your strongest support." She looked at him with concern. "You worked hard yesterday." He gave her a reassuring smile, saying he could handle it. Suddenly, she cupped his face in both hands and pressed a gentle kiss to his forehead. Then she sincerely thanked him. What a beautiful and kind-hearted little fox spirit. Meanwhile, Chuanyue's subordinates arrived at a pharmacy on the street. They asked the shopkeeper whether he sold that particular scar removal ointment or knew anyone who did. The shopkeeper broke out in a cold sweat. "I've never seen that kind of ointment before. Maybe a traveling physician has it. There are quite a few of them in Yangshan town." The female subordinates could only leave in disappointment. They had already visited 8 pharmacies without any leads, and the other teams had come up empty as well. The High Priestess took this matter extremely seriously. No matter what, they had to do their best to find it. Not far away, Shi Tianrui was watching from the shadows. After trailing them for a full day, he found the situation increasingly bizarre. This subplot didn't exist in the original novel. Besides, he had stood guard near Chuanyue's residence all day yesterday and hadn't spotted anyone suspicious. Before they knew it, 7 days had already passed. That morning, Tsiufu sat before a mirror, combing her hair. Li took out a bottle of scar removal ointment from the system store, claiming he had bought it from a traveling physician, and reminded her to bring it when she went to see Kuan-Yue. She turned back in surprise. The guards from Chuanyue's estate came asking around 2 days ago. The bottle they were looking for was very similar to this one, but they searched for days and couldn't find its source. He feigned ignorance with a smile. "What a coincidence. Last time I accompanied you to the market, I happened to notice the scars on Kuan-Yue and guess she might need something like this." As he spoke, he gently ruffled Tsiufu's hair. "The main point is to help you leave a good impression in front of her. When asking someone for a favor, it's always best to bring a gift. I've also prepared some other presents for you to take." Tsiufu nodded obediently. "I'll bring them with me." She looked at him with reluctance. "I might be gone for several days, maybe even a week or 2. He gently took her hand to reassure her. "No matter how long it takes, I'll wait." 10 minutes later, Tsiufu and Aunt Chun arrived at the High Priestess's residence with their gifts. Kuan-Yue glanced at the offerings and said calmly, "There's no need to be so formal." Sensing that the ordinary gifts hadn't truly impressed her, Tsiufu took out the bottle of scar removal ointment. She spoke softly. "There's one more small gift to present to the High Priestess. My family purchased it from a traveling physician." A spark flashed in Chuanyue's eyes. "You're really giving this to me?" Tsiufu gently placed the ointment on the table. Kuan-Yue wasted no time twisting the cap open. She leaned closer and inhaled. The scent was exactly identical to the previous bottle of ointment. Her mood visibly lifted. She decided to spend a few more days devising a method to remove Tsiufu's seal as quickly as possible, trying to spare her as much pain as she could. "Also, please go back and ask your family which traveling physician sold this." Tsiufu blinked slightly at her unexpectedly friendly tone, then nodded in agreement. Kuan-Yue brought her hands together. A stream of shamanic energy flowed into the crimson bloodstone in her palm. She handed the stone to Tsiufu. "Wear it close to your body every day. IT will unlock the first layer of the seal. When you return to find me in a few days, it will still be useful." Tsiufu quickly expressed her gratitude to the High Priestess. At that moment, he was browsing through cultivation techniques in the system store and realized the useful ones all cost over 100 points. His points were running low. If he wanted survival-grade skills, he'd have to grind more affection from these Villainesses. Suddenly, Doubting chimed in with good news. Chuanyue's affection level was rising rapidly, lighting up one more star. He smiled in satisfaction. Apparently, Even staying out of sight early on could boost progress. The real question was whether removing the scar would reset her corruption level entirely. According to the original story, that scar was only one of her emotional scars. Her father's cold departure and her mother's death from grief had carved much deeper wounds into her childhood. Still, this was a promising start. He was just over 300 points away from upgrading to the level 3 system store, where everything could be purchased at half price. He raised both thumbs at doubting. Now that's what you call a decent system. Just then, noises came from outside the residence. Surprisingly, Xiufu and Aunt Chun had returned already. Xiufu ran up to him happily and threw her arms around him. The ointment helped so much. It was exactly what the High Priestess was looking for. She treated me very kindly and promised to use a safer method to remove the seal in a few days. She even gave me a crimson bloodstone to unlock the first layer. After saying that, she stood on tiptoe and kissed his cheek. A system notification flashed. Affection level +1. Reward. 500 points. He froze. Hadn't Xiufu already been fully conquered? Her pink 5-star affection was maxed out. How could it level up again? Even doubting had never seen a red star before. Still, this was obviously great news. The system store successfully upgraded to level 3. He cupped Xiufu's small face, unable to stop smiling. You really are my lucky star. Then, he leaned down and gently kissed her cheek in return.